Hi everybody, my name is Ricky An-to-nee-uh Prosper. I am a senior studying math education at the University of the Bahamas, and I am also your Miss University of the Bahamas. So I know that everybody's test 2 is approaching, so I wanted to provide another resource to actually help y'all to get familiar with the assessment. So here I am solving another past test 2 paper. I hope y'all excited, and I hope y'all been practicing off the workbook. But anyway, let's get right into it. Okay, so we're starting off with fill in the blank. The equation of the x-axis is y is equal to 0. And if you saw like the equation of the y-axis, it would be x is equal to 0. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. So the slope of a horizontal line is 0, and the slope of a vertical line is undefined. So the x-intercept of the line is, to find the x-intercept, set y equal to 0 and solve for x. So 3x is equal to 6, x is equal to 2. So the x-intercept of the line is 2, 0. The domain of the relation is the set. So to find that, the domain is the x values. So you just list off the x values. So -2, -1, 1, 2. So a system of linear equations having no solutions is called an inconsistent system. The degree of the monomial is, so for the degree of a monomial, you add up all the degrees on the individual factors. So you have x squared, y cubed, and then z to the power 1. So you add those two up. So 2 plus 3 plus 1 is equal to 6. So the degree of the monomial is 6. The degree of the polynomial, you're looking for the highest degree of whichever term. So you have 5 here, so the degree of the polynomial is 5. Okay, which of the following are functions? Circle all that apply. Remember that functions have unique x values. So if they share the same x value, it's not a function. So let's look over here. -2, -1, 0, -1. See, 2 negative ones. So this is not a function. -2, -1, 0, 1. This is a function. And when you come down here, you could do the vertical line test to see if it intersects the graph more than once, it's not a function. So this is a function. This intersects the graph twice, so this isn't a function. So just B and C. Okay, given the graph of the line below, find the following. Okay, find the y-intercept of the line. So the y-intercept is -1, 0. The y-intercept is where the line directly touches the y-axis. So you see, -1. And I wrote that wrong. 0, -1. Okay, so find the slope of the line shown. So the slope is, remember the slope formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1. So y2 is our 2 points, right? These are our 2 points. -5, 3, and 0, -1. These are our 2 points. So y2 is -1 minus 3 divided by x2, which is 0, minus. Be aware of this. A lot of students just put minus and then 5. This is a -5. So you put the minus and then open bracket -5, because it will affect your answer if you don't do that. So y2, just for those who may not be familiar, this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. So y2 minus y1, -1 minus 3 divided by x2, 0 minus open bracket -5, right? So we're going to finish this off. That's -4 divided by +5, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So our slope is -4/5. And you could check it if you want to. Remember, the slope is rise over run. But since it's negative, instead of rising, you kind of going down, so you drop in, right? So since it's -4, if it was +4, you go up. But since it's -4, you go down. So you go down 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you run 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, see? We arrived to the next point, so this is correct. So find the equation of the line in standard form. So since we already have the y-intercept, we could just set it up in slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where n is the slope and b is the y-intercept, right? So since we have b, which is -1, we could just set it up y equals -4/5, which is our slope, x minus 1, right? But they say they want it in standard form. Standard form is ax plus by is equal to c, right? So that's the form we want to set this up in. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of this fraction. To do that, we're going to multiply the entire equation by the denominator, which is 5. We're going to be left with 5y is equal to minus 4x minus 5. Now we're going to send the 4x over, transpose. We're going to transpose. And when we do that, it's going to become positive. So now we're going to be left with 4x plus 5y is equal to -5. And that's our answer in standard form. ax plus by is equal to c. Okay? So now, find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to the line 3x plus 2y equal 1, which passes through the point -2, 1. Express your answer in slope-intercept form. So our first thing we're going to do is solve this equation for y. We're going to put this in slope-intercept form. Okay? So we have 2y is equal to minus 3x. We transposed the 3x and it became negative plus 1, right? Okay, now we're going to divide both sides by 2, so that'd be y is equal to -3/2 x plus 1/2, right? So now we want our next line to be perpendicular to this line, right? To do that, we're going to locate the slope. The slope is -3/2. M is equal to -3/2, right? So the perpendicular line to that, you're going to take the negative reciprocal. What I mean by that is multiply it by -1 and then flip it. So when I multiply this by -1, this would give me positive 3/2. And then when I flip it, it would give me 2/3. So perpendicular to this would be positive 2/3. So I flipped the fraction and then I multiplied it by -1. Okay, so I took the negative reciprocal of it. So now we're going to take the point slope formula, y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. So now we're going to set it up. Y minus y1 is 1 is equal to m is our slope, 2/3. We just find x minus and then open bracket -2. A lot of students just make that mistake and just put -2. You have to put the open bracket minus -2. Y minus 1 is equal to 2/3. We're just going to simplify it. X plus 2. Y minus 1 is equal to 2/3 x plus 4/3. Transpose the 1. Y is equal to 2/3 x plus 4/3 plus 1. We're just going to convert the 1 to a fraction so we can actually add it to the next number. So y to the like term. So y equals 2/3x plus 4/3 plus 3/3. Multiply the numerator and the denominator of 1 by 3. And then you add it. So y equals 2/3x plus 7/3. And that is our final answer. Graph the solution region for the following system of inequalities by shading the unwanted region. Okay, so first we're going to graph x is equal to -1, y is equal to -2x plus 3. We're going to solve this last one for y. So that's 2x. We're going to set up 2x minus 3y is equal to 3. And then we're going to solve for y. So minus 3y is equal to minus 2x plus 3. Y is equal to positive 2/3, because negative divided by negative is a positive, x minus 1. So 3 divided by -3 is -1. So that's what we plot in. Y is equal to 2/3 x minus 1. Okay, so first we're going to graph x is equal to -1, but pay attention to the inequality symbol. this is a dotted line. When you have greater than or less than, it's a dotted line. So we're going to do a dotted line through x's equal to -1. And we're going to label it. Okay, now the instructions were to shade the unwanted region. So to figure out what's the unwanted region, we can just read the inequality. This is saying x is greater than -1. So we want all the values that are greater than -1. If you see, these are the values that are greater than -1. 0 is greater than -1. 1 is greater than -1. 2 is greater than -1. So these are all the values that are greater than -1. So we'll be shading the unwanted region, which is this side. But if you don't understand it that way, we're going to choose a test point that's not directly on the line. Let's choose 0, 0 and just substitute it in. The test point we chose was 0, 0, right? So just substitute 0. 0 is greater than -1. This is a true statement. So this side with 0, 0 are all the points that satisfy the inequality. So we're going to shade this side since it's the unwanted region. Plot the next point. So we have 3, and our slope is -2. So we're going to go down 2 and then over once. So 1, 2, and then over once. And just to explain the slope a little bit more, if you have a whole number, remember the slope is rise over run. So don't think because you have a whole number you don't have a run. Your run is 1. So -2 over 1. So since it's negative, you go down 2 and you go over 1. Whenever you have a whole number for your slope, just put it over 1 because it is technically divided by 1. Okay? So now, since it's less than or equal to, our line is solid. So we're just going to draw a straight line through the 2 points. And again, we're gonna label our line first. So y is equal to -2x plus 3. Again, we're gonna choose our test point 0, 0 since it's not directly on the line. It's substituted into the inequality. So this would be 0 is less than or equal to 3. This is a true statement. So the side with 0, 0, which is the side we're keeping, and we're going to shade this side because this is the unwanted region. These are the values that don't satisfy the inequality. Last thing, we're going to plot the last line. So we have -1, and then we're going to go up 2 and then over 3 times. So we're going to go up 2, 1, 2, and then over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to connect the 2 lines. Remember, pay attention to the equality symbol. It's greater than, so I'm just going to do a dotted line. Then we're going to label it y is equal to 2 over 3x minus 1. Test point again. Choose 0, 0 since it's not directly on the line. This would just be 0 is greater than 3. This isn't true, so we're shading the side with 0, 0 on it. Since 0 is not greater than true, that means that those values are the unwanted region. So we're going to shade this side. For the box, all we do is substituting the x values in the equation to find out what is the respective y value. So 3, we're going to do -5 first. So 3 minus negative 5 minus 1 divided by 2. That's equal to 3 minus negative 6 divided by 2, which is equal to 3 minus the absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6 divided by 2. This is equal to 3 minus 3, 0. So this next one is 3 minus negative 3 minus 1 divided by 2. This is equal to 3 minus absolute value of negative 4 divided by 2. It's equal 3 minus 4 divided by 2. 3 minus 2, 1. Okay, let me move these over. So 3 minus absolute value 1 minus 1 divided by 2. This is 3 minus absolute value 0 divided by 2. This is just 3 minus 0. This is just 3. So next we have 3 minus absolute value of 5 minus 1 divided by 2. 3 minus the absolute value of 4 divided by 2. 3 minus 4 divided by 2. 3 minus 2, 1. Okay, last one. Let's do this up here. 3 minus the absolute value of 7 minus 1 divided by 2. 3 minus the absolute value of 6 divided by 2. 3 minus 6 divided by 2. 3 minus 3, 0. Okay. Now we're going to plot these 2 points. We're going to plot them like negative 5, 0, because remember x comes first, because it's x, y. Negative 5, 0, negative 3, 1, 1, 3, 5, 1, 7, 0. Okay, so now we're going to plot the 2 points. So negative 5, 0 is right here. Negative 3, 1 is right here. 1, 3 is right here. 5, 1 is right here. 7, 0 is right here. So now we're just going to collect the line. There you go. Okay, so now using your graph, find all values x satisfying f of x is equal to 2. So I like to just draw a straight line through it. Through where f is x is equal to 2. That's where y is equal to 2. And the values of x, you see it intersect the graph right here and right here. What are the x values here? What is the x value here? Negative 1. What's the x value here? 3. So the two x values satisfying f of x is equal to 2 is negative 1 and positive 3. But I'd recommend drawing that in a pencil, because I don't want you to leave that on your graph. So x equals negative 1 and x equals positive 3. Okay, so solve this following system of equations using the indicated method by substitution. So for this question, what you're going to do is solve for x here, since the coefficient of x is 1, and then substitute it into here. So when you're doing substitution, you want to look for whichever term has a coefficient of 1. So solve for x, we're going to have y is equal to minus 15 minus 3y. You're going to substitute that into this question. So we have negative 6, negative 15, we substituted the x, minus 3y plus 7y is equal to negative 10. Now we're going to solve for y. With our handy dandy calculator. So 6 times 15, that's 90, positive 90, because the negative times the negative is a positive, and then plus 18y, again, negative times negative is a positive. I'm going to bring down the rest. 18 plus 7 plus 25, so we have 90 plus 25y is equal to negative 10. We're going to transpose and send this 90 over. That's going to be 25y is equal to minus 10 minus 90. 25y is equal to negative 100. Y, divide both sides by 25. So divided by 25, divided by 25. Y is equal to negative 4. Okay, and then remember that x is equal to negative 15 minus 3y. So substitute the y value. X is equal to negative 15 minus 3 times negative 4. X is equal to minus 15 plus 12. Because negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. X is equal to negative 3. So our answer is negative 3, negative 4. And to check it, all you could do is just substitute this into both and make sure that it gives you a true statement. By addition, so when we want to deal with addition, we want two of the terms to be opposites, so that when we add them, they cancel, right? So to do that, I'm going to think of their lowest common multiple. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 5 is 5, 10, 15. That's the lowest common multiple, right? To make 3 15, I have to multiply it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to multiply this entire equation by 5. To make this 5 15, I have to multiply it by 1, 2, 3. To make this 15, I have to multiply this entire equation by 3. So let's start off with the first one. So times 5 times 3. So you have 10x minus 15y is equal to 13 times 5. Is negative 65. The next one is 6 times 3 is 18, so that's 18x plus 15y is equal to 9, right? Now we can add the 2, because you see when we add it, these two we cancel out, because negative 15 plus 15 is just 0. So we have 28x plus 0 is equal to 65 negative plus 9 is negative 56. Going to divide both sides by 28. So x is equal to negative 2. And you can just substitute this into any of the equations to find y. So you have 2x minus 3y is equal to negative 13. So 2 times negative 2 minus 3y is equal to negative 13. Negative 4 minus 3y is equal to negative 13. Transpose to 4, we have negative 3y is equal to minus 13 plus 4. Negative 3y is equal to negative 9. Divide both sides by negative 3. So y is equal to positive 3. So our answer is negative 2, 3. And again, you could check this by just substituting this into both equations. And if you get a true statement, then it's true. Okay, so a musical supply store sells only clarinets and trumpets. A school band places an order for 37 instruments, and their total bill was $2,703.80. Clarinets cost $55 and trumpets cost $96.80. Let C be the number of clarinets sold and let T be the number of trumpets sold. Write a system of linear equations from which C and T may be found. Do not solve it, right? So to do this, they ordered two instruments, right? Clarinets and trumpets. C, clarinets, and T for trumpets. So the amount of trumpets and clarinets they ordered, how much ever they ordered, the total amount they ordered was 37. So the clarinets plus the trumpets is equal to 37, right? So the clarinets cost $55. So we're going to put 55 C, because for every clarinet that they ordered, it cost them $55. So 55 times C, plus same thing for trumpets. For how much ever trumpets they ordered, it cost them 96.8 T, right? And that's equal to their total bill, which is $2,703.80, right? So make sure you put money with money. If that's one hint that I could give you, put the money with the money, all right? And they told you not to solve it, but if they were to tell you solve it, you could use substitution. I would recommend substitution or addition, which we just did up here, to solve it. Okay. Down here, we're gonna multiply it out. So we're gonna multiply 2x by this, 2x by negative 2x, and then 2x times 5. So that would give you 6x cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x. So you see, 2x times 3x squared is 6x cubed. 2x times negative 2x is minus 4x squared. 2x times 5 is plus 10x, not 5x. Two x times 5 is plus 10x. And same thing for 3. So we're going to have minus 9x squared plus 6x minus 15. Negative 3 times 3x squared is minus 9x squared. Minus 3 times negative 2x is positive 6x. Minus 3 times 5 is minus 15. And we're going to simplify it. So we're just going to reorder it. So that's 6x cubed minus 4x squared minus 9x squared plus 10x plus 6x minus 15. We're going to simplify it. So 6x cubed minus 13x squared plus 16x minus 15. And we're going to just make this a little bit. Bring this over. Okay. For this, I just like to split it up. So I would say negative 6x to the power 4 y cubed divided by minus 3x squared y plus 5x squared y cubed divided by minus 3x squared y minus 3x cubed y divided by minus 3x squared y. Okay. Now, that's equal. So now we're going to divide the 6 and then negative 3. That would give us positive 2, because negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. And then this is the quotient rule for law of exponent. When we divide in x to the power 4 divided by x squared, that's equal to x to the power 4 minus 2, which is just 2. So your final answer would just be x squared, right? So x squared. And then same thing with y. If we have y cubed divided by y, remember that's just y to the power 1. It's just y cubed minus 1, which is just 2. So it's equal to y squared. Okay? Y squared. And then we have a minus down here and a plus. So just read minus, because you know negative times a positive is a negative. So minus 5 divided by 3. X squared divided by x squared is just 1. And then y cubed divided by y is y squared. Negative times negative is a positive, so plus 3 divided by 3 is 1. X cubed divided by x squared is x. Y divided by y is 1. So your final answer would just be 2x squared y squared minus 5 over 3 y squared plus x. Okay, factor the following completely. So this is a quadratic equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So what we're going to do is multiply a times c. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. We're going to list off the factors of 12. So 12 and 1, 6 and 2, 4 and 3, right? Now we're going to see which of these factors would give us negative 4 that we can manipulate to give us negative 4. We could take negative 6 and positive 2, because negative 6 plus 2 would give us negative 4, okay? So now we just set it up. So 3x squared minus 6x plus 2x minus 4. And we're going to split it down the middle and factor out. And factor out the highest factors, right? So common in this side is 3x. So we're going to factor out the 3x. And we're left with x minus 2, right? And to help you visualize it, all you have to do is, if you're going to factor out 3x, just divide it. So 3x squared divided by 3x. Okay, you see you're left with 1, and then x squared divided by x is just x. So it's just x. And then 6x divided by 3x. You see that 6 divided by 3, that's just 2, and then times x divided by x is just 1. Okay, so you're left with x, and then that was a minus 6. So you just be left with minus 2, x minus 2. Okay, same thing over here. We're going to factor out the like term, which is 2, and we're left with x minus 2. You know you're on the right track when these two are the same thing. Okay, now your final answer would just be, you have to set it up, 3x plus 2. You see, 3x plus 2, and then x minus 2. Okay, over here, looking at it, you might feel tripped up because it's so much, but when I look at this, I can see that they all have x plus 2 squared in common. So I'm going to factor that out, x plus 2 squared, and when I do that, I'm left with x squared minus 7x plus 10. See? X squared plus minus 7x plus 10. All I have to do is factor this one, right? So we're going to list the factors of 10, because this right here, 2 is of the form, a quadratic of the form ax squared minus plus bx plus c, right? A is just 1. You know, 1 times anything is just that number. So we're going to find the factors of 10, which are 10 and 1 and 5 and 2, right? Which of these factors can we manipulate to get negative 7? 5 and 2. Minus 5 minus 2 is negative 7. So we just take the shortcut and write that. So x plus 2 squared, x minus 5, x minus 2. And that's our final answer. Okay, over here, when I look at this, I notice the difference of 2 squares. Since it's of an exponent of 4, I automatically thinking it's the difference of 2 squares. And the setup for that is a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b, a plus b. Okay, so what I'm first going to do is just divide out 3, because I see that 3 is a common factor in both. So I'm going to divide both by 3. When I do that, I'm left with x to the power 4. 48 divided by 3 is 16. Okay, so now you can see this is square. This is x to the power 4 minus 2 to the power 4, right? So if we're going to break this up some more, this is x squared squared minus 2 squared squared. Okay, 3 open bracket x squared minus 2 squared x squared plus 2 squared. And we can simplify that some more. That's 3 x squared minus 4 x squared plus 4, right? And if you see, this is the difference of two squares again. This 4 is 2 squared. If you have x squared minus 4, that's equal to x squared minus 2 squared. So that's equal to x minus 2, x plus 2. So your final answer would be 3 x squared plus 4 x minus 2 x plus 2. Okay. So let me make this smaller because this is very big. Let me make this smaller because this is very big. And over there. So in uncertainness, we're going to split it down the middle. We're going to factor out the common factors between both terms in each group. So first one, x squared is common, so we're left with x plus 3. The next one, we're going to factor out negative y squared because minus y squared is common. And we're left with, again, x plus 3. So our final answer would just be x squared minus y squared, x plus 3. That is not our final answer because this is the difference of two squares. So this would be x minus y, x plus y, x plus 3. That would be your final answer. Okay. When I see this, I can immediately break this up and say this is 2x squared cubed. Because when I distribute that, that would give me 2 cubed. And then 2 times 3, that's the power rule for law of exponents. X squared raised to the power 3 is just 6. So that would be x to the power 6, which would just be 8x to the power 6, which is, see, what we started off with, right? So, and then plus 1 cube. And there's a formula for this when we add in 2 cubes. So that formula is a cubed plus b cubed is equal to a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared. Okay, so that is, this is a and this is b, 1 is b, so all we do is set it up. So that's 2x squared plus 1, a squared, which is 4x to the power 4, minus ab, which is 2x squared plus b squared, which is just 1. 2x squared plus 1, 4x to the power 4 minus 2x plus 1. Okay, and that is our final answer. And that is the exam. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you're watching from the future, please WhatsApp me on a number below so I can actually send you the document, the workbook that I created, so you can actually get better prepared for your assessment. Okay, that's just about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this video was very beneficial to you. You have a wonderful day.